is this? Okay นะคะ Good evening, distinguished guests. I hope that you all enjoy the art and music performance from the previous session and can feel the power of the art and music in conveying the viewpoint from the ethnic communities in dealing with the climate and environmental crisis, right? First of all, I would like to thank you, the Thailand Pavilion, for kindly having us here. And now I am Jaruni Kongsawat. I'm the Siamese Heritage Trust Manager of the Siam Society. I will be the moderator of this panel. I'm here also on behalf of the Southeast Asian Cultural Heritage Alliance, which is the network of cultural civil society organizations, 8 organizations from Southeast Asia. And the Siam Society and SISHA, we are very proud to be able to bring the cultural perspectives into COP28. Yeah, we're trying to promote that the cultural wisdom can be used as the tool for climate action. And that is the name of this session, right? So we have the voices of 5 people from 5 different countries on this panel: Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, and Laos PDR. Today, they will tell us how their culture view the relationship between human and environment, and they will tell us the specific examples of the cultural heritage or traditional practices that can contribute to the sustainable living, and how the cultural heritage can cope with the contemporary crisis of environment. And lastly, how the preservation of cultural heritage can contribute to the climate resilience and sustainable living. So I would like to use 30 minutes in the first part for all the panelists to present their presentation shortly. But first of all, I would like to take a few minutes to introduce all the speakers. First, Dr. Katrini Patihari Kubontubu. She is the chairperson of Southeast Asian Cultural Heritage Alliance and the president of Indonesian Heritage Trust. Dr. Katrini has an educational background in urban and regional planning, architecture, and planning and policy development. Second, Ms. Royce Liza Malabonga. She is the SISHA Youth Alumni, and she is an advocate for the cultural heritage protection and empowerment of indigenous community. Third, Thep Dwangjan Buntidet from Lao PDR. She is a PhD candidate in resources management and development from Luang Prabang. With her passion for the intangible cultural heritage, she hopes to promote the sustainability and cultural awareness. She is also a SISHA Youth Alumni as well. Next, Mr. Shak Koyok. He just performed, he just be with us in the previous session, but I will introduce him again. He is the thermal artist from Selangor, Malaysia. And his artwork will reflect the early trauma of the encroachment of the jungle around his village by the land developer. And his passion is to fight for the land rights for his people. Lastly, Dr. Chi Suvishan Patana Praiwan. He is Pagagayon, or a current tribe from the mountain of Chiang Mai. He is not only the songwriter, but he is an activist and assistant professor of geocultural management at the Srinakarin Virod University in Thailand. So his work, Dr. Chi encouraged local Pagagayon to strive for the self-reliance and to conserve natural resources by balancing the utilization and sustainability. So why don't we start with the youngest one on this panel? Okay. Tip. Oh. Okay. Everyone try to be the youngest. So yes, Tep Dongjan, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe you can paste the slide for me. Yes, thank you. I'm still really excited. This is my second time for speak on behalf of CITA alumni representative Laos PDR. What I'm going to present with you today is just something that you already know and really simple in our daily life. It relates to the natural drying. Actually, I have no any background on natural resources until I'm going to be PhD in resources management and development in Metro University, Chiang Mai, Thailand. At that time, I can see how related of the natural resources, social resources, and human resources. So natural resources that I'm talking today is something maybe you can eat, something maybe you see already. It's used by our ancestors for natural drying. Example for the yellow color is made from the jackfruit, okay, and also with the Indian trumpet flower is made from it's going to be a light green color, and also turmeric be a yellow and ebony tea to be black color. My desk today is making from the natural drying. This is local scarf called pabiang. This pabiang made from the silk and cotton that make from natural dried. You can see how it's beautiful of the natural resources. But this is not just only one point that I'm going to talk about. Our ancestors back to once upon a time, 4,000 years ago, humans already know how to make natural drying. From my perspective, understanding of the local make natural drying, we have two methods to make it. First one is by hot methods, and second one by the cool methods. Hot methods is making by take a tea box, take a flour, and then boiling it to the water. After that, let it soak before we putting the cotton or silk into them. For the cool one, mostly it's made to the indigo. Kunjup today, yes, it's made for the cool mentos, making from the indigo, and then we have to make the indigo to be a bubbles. That is a mentos that is continuous generation and generation. You know that if you're not member that family, you not want to know how to make it one because it's top secret. Yeah. And maybe you guys have the questions because now we a lot of time in the sunlight. How the indigenous people they protect this natural color from the sunlight? Anyone know that? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can answer that. You know the ants, the yellow, the orange ants nest. Yeah, on the mango tree. Yeah. The ancestors also make the acid, take the acid from that one to make the color to be stay longer into the sunlight as well. Yes. What is the point of natural drying, which is called ancestral wisdom to the current climate actions? Because At the moment that you can see, we are on the fast fashion industry. Every day we change a course. From the first process until the end is going to be a waste from our clothes. It's not really sustainable. You can see a mountain of the coating every year is higher and higher. But the end of that is not that the end, because the chemical that we use into our clothes is down to the river. It going to the soil. Where is the people take water for drink? Where is the people take that soil for plant the tree or vegetable? So natural drying is really important to be researched, because if it is successful, it's going to play a role for the sustainable coating fashions. Example, for natural drying, after it's finished drying, because it's made from natural, it can't gonna be composed. You remember the bak tea, the jackfruit that I just mentioned? It's going to be composed after that. And also the pan, and I will give you example. This one we call the indigo one. This indigo one also can reduce if you have a fever. And also it will protect your skin. Yes, correct, the indigo cotton one. Yeah. It will protect your skin from the changing weather. Example, at the moment we go outside, it's hot, we come inside, it's cool. So the indigo one have this quality to protect our skin, our health from changing weather. And also some of the color, we call the yellow color before we make for the monk to wearing. That color also protect the insect to bite our skin as well. So you see that is really, really useful with the natural drying. So today I would like to present this for the natural drying to be the new knowledge for people that never know, and also to be raise the awareness again with you for natural drying in the fast fashion industry and how to make sustainable clothing for our next generations. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the first presentation. You pointing out and try to promote the use of the natural dyeing technique to safeguard the environment. And I believe that by doing this way, it also preserve the local plantation and local traditional medicine as well, right? Yeah, there are so many questions that come up in my mind, because it's also interesting to know that the market and how would you like to promote this to the wider target, you know. For the next presentation, Liza, please, you have your floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Kunjub. Are we still awake? Because I know at this time people are already quite exhausted because it's almost the end of the day, but we hope that you're still here with us, physically and mentally, not elsewhere. I come from the Philippines. We have more than 100 indigenous communities. Most of the time, when I talk about heritage or indigenous heritage, it seems, and then when we attach natural disasters, it seems as though the heritage of indigenous communities are always victims to these natural disasters. But with my presentation this afternoon, I want to alter that conversation. I wanted to alter that discourse and actually shift and give an agency to the power of indigenous knowledge to actually become coping mechanism in times of disasters. I come from a country that is vulnerable to natural disasters. Almost every month, we have typhoons. And for us, a typhoon is like, it already has an everyday quality. We're so used to it, but we're not supposed to be used to it, but we're used to it. So name it, volcanic eruptions, typhoons, earthquakes, name it. So I would be presenting to you 2 case studies. The first case study, I'm going to talk about the Mamanwa indigenous community. The Mamanwa indigenous community, they come from the southern part of the Philippines. You see, the Philippines is an archipelago. We're composed of more than 7,600 islands, and we have 3 big clusters. So it's Luzon on top, Visayas, and then Mindanao. In the southern part, the Mamanwa indigenous community came from the south, but then they traveled to the middle island, which is called the Visayas. In 2013, I'm not sure if you've witnessed it in the news that the Philippines was struck with one of the strongest typhoons that my country has ever experienced with, they said that around 6,000 casualties, but this is just a very rough estimate because some people said they just stopped counting. And of course, the damages cost millions of dollars, millions of pesos. A lot of people clearly died. But one interesting phenomenon actually happened. 2 weeks before the typhoon was actually predicted by the government, an indigenous community, the Mamanwa indigenous community, was actually able to predict the typhoon because of their very intimate relationship with nature. Because the Mamanwas, they can read the patterns of the winds. They're also able to read the sound of animals, and they're able to connect this to be able to read when a typhoon is coming, if an earthquake is going to come. So because of that very intimate knowledge, and also at the same time, one of the leaders of the group had an omen, and it appeared in his dream that there's going to be a strong calamity. And lo and behold, they were able to prepare for that typhoon. And so since they knew that a typhoon was coming, they were able to prepare. They were able to construct their traditional way of, it's called kurob. Kurob is a traditional, it's like a low-lying structure that they usually construct when a typhoon is coming so that families can stay there, they can store their resources, they can store their food. And they were able to survive, actually. And it's very interesting because none of the indigenous community actually died because they were able to prepare. And we know that in times of calamities and in times of disasters, preparation is king. It's very, very important to prepare because if we don't prepare, the impacts would be even more grave. Well, the bottom line of this case study is basically on how the Mamanwa indigenous community is actually able to transcend victimization and regimes of risk and vulnerability. And that through their indigenous knowledge system, actually they have more, but because 6 minutes cannot give justice to the many ancient wisdom that they have, so I can only focus to these 2 knowledge systems. So basically, what I wanted to emphasize is that the agentive functions and values of indigenous knowledge systems in times of disasters. I'm moving towards my next, okay, not yet. Just to show you, they have a calendar. So every single month, they have a dedicated remark for a particular, like for example, for a particular wind. For example, from September to January, they know that the wind Kabunghan is coming. So this is going to be sunny and windy. And most likely there will be no typhoon, which is relatively a good weather. And then from September to December, this is when it's going to be windy and stormy, and they call this wind Kanaway. So when the Kanaway wind is, when there is the Kanaway wind, they know that it's time to prepare raw materials for their kurob and harvest of climate-resistant crops. So they know that during this time, they would be able to associate their preparation for typhoons, so they will be able to prepare. So basically, indigenous knowledge system teach us disaster risk reduction. They're able to predict and mitigate impacts of climate change driven by natural hazards. Of course, through the knowledge systems, it also alludes to food security, community resilience, and resource management, which is very, very important. And moving on to my last case study for this evening, I'm going to talk about the Ivatan culture. The Ivatan culture is, the Ivatans are people coming from the northernmost part of the Philippines, which is actually already close to Taiwan. Maybe in a few minutes, you'd be able to reach Taiwan. In Batanes, in that island, it is a very unique weather because of strong winds. And because of strong winds, usually it's the first Philippine area of responsibility that's going to be hit when there's going to be a typhoon. So the community was able to cope with these challenges. So they were able, this has influenced their architecture and how they build their houses and how they build the structures within the community. And one of that is their traditional house, which is actually made of stone, of lime, of straw. And it's very, very strong because as you can see here, it's made of stone. And because it's very, very windy in the Batanes Island, you can also see how they've constructed their boats, that the boats don't actually have, I don't know how you call it, but the rigs on the side, so that the boats would be able to actually follow the waves. Do I still have some more minutes? The end? Okay. So, so to end my presentation, I would just like to, in a way, a bit of a call for action, let's say, to hopefully democratize cooperative mechanisms towards a more community-centric engagement. Because as an advocate of the ancient wisdom of indigenous communities, we want these efforts to be community-centric and inclusive because what better way to be able to develop these strategies, but to center them with local and indigenous communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Liza. So from her case study, we can see that the best way and the most sustainable way of living is the way that we try to live and adapt ourselves to the nature. It's also very interesting that the indigenous people, they can have the pattern. Then they know the pattern of the weather, the storm and everything. But when the climate change happen, will they still can identify what will happen like before? That is something that come up in my mind. So may I move quickly to the next speaker, Dr. Suichan.
Now?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay. This is you, right?
This is mine.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so back to me. So I would like to share again about your ancestral wisdom as a tool for the climate change. So the first one, I would like to share about the perspective in the relationship of human and nature of the Pagano people. So actually we have, I would like to share in the 3 periods of life. No? The first one, when we have the children was born in the village, you can see that we cut the umbilical cord of the baby, and then we put in the bamboo, and then we took it and then rub with the one trees. And then we believe that the soul or the spirit of the child and then the spirit of the tree is connected to each other. We're not allowed to cut that tree anymore. So the father or grandfather have to rub that. In 3 days, we have to take it out and put in how to say it, on the ground. And then our umbilical cord can fit the tree. And then our soul and the tree be together with the same life. So one tree for one person. So if in our community we have like a 200 people, we have 200 trees. That is, we have already one forest already. And then when we cultivate, you see, before we use the natural resource, you can see before we use the water, we have to ask the permission, but we ask the permission with the water. But it's not normal water, no? This one is the water that are from rice. We call like a whiskey, rice whiskey or rice rum or something like that. So before we drink, we give the spirit drink first, and then we drink with them. And then that's why for me I call like a smile farming. No? I smile, spiritual also smile, and then they give us the water enough for a whole year. If we don't ask, very dangerous for us. So we will get sick, our parents, our children will get sick, or our plant will not grow well, something like that. And then when people die or pass away, we are not burned, but we bury on the ground, on the forest. And before they bury, we have to sing the song for the people who die, and then we said, okay, we will see you again somewhere, and then I will send you to some place with this song. So we sing, and then we bury them in the forest. And then we had to plant some plant for them what that they most like to eat. We have to plant. For example, if they like to eat mango, we plant mango for them. They like to eat jackfruit, as you said. We have to plant jackfruit for them or something like that. So this is a born, die, already two forests. This is the relationship between our born and our die. This is the first one. No? And then now we still practice the rotational farming. That we have the philosophy of the rotational farming as a how to say it, consume in the short time, but revival in the long time. For example, in this case, no, you can see like this field, we plant the rice, but another year we take it rest. We take it rest until 4 to 7 years, and then we come back and then use again. So you can see in the previous panel, I told you that how to cut the tree that won't let it die. You can see that tree is become to this. So we cut one, but regrow more than one. So this is
Cut the tree but leave the branch.
something like that. No.
Your poem.
And then we still practice this kind of cultivation system, no? And then we also how to say it? We collect our landscape or land use that we try to set up the regulation that we are not go out of the fence. We collect out of the fence. So we will cultivate inside. So that is mean we will let the forest be green, something like that. And then when we plant the rice, we have believed that we not to make the whole of the earth more than the little deer footprints. So you can see we still use kind of a tool that are not over than 3, how is it? 3 finger, something like that. And then we put the rice. We believe that if we make a hole more than the footprint of the little deer, the earth will cry. And then we close, we cannot plant the rice, something like that. No? And then now we try to create a new how to say it, economic, no? I can say like economic. That appropriate with our way of life. For example, now we feed the honey in the rice field. Oh, sorry. What? Okay, we feed the honey in the rice field. We make a box and then we have honey. We don't need to take from the wild honey anymore. And then we also feed the animal like I call like a pet farm raised-tree. Farm raised-tree is mean farm in the forest, something like that. So we let our buffalo in the forest, and then every day we follow them. When we follow them, that is mean like we also survey the forest as well. So I have the research that which community they have farm raised-tree, pets farm raised-tree like it. We have less wildfire forest in that community. So this is a proof that the animal, you can see we have I call like a buffalo swimming pool in the forest. No? we have this in forest. So if the fire happens, we can use the water from here and then stop the fire also. And then we also try to, how to say it, processing the product in our community like a more, as I said, we have to think about cultural for sale and then cultural for soul. But we sell what we eat, and we eat what we plant, something like that. So I also have a coffee, but I not bring here. I call like a Karenika. Karen is from Karen. Karenik is mean Karen tribe, and then Karenika is like because I heard like a Arabica. So okay, Karen Arabica. So I say like Karenika. So you can order from me. So, and then the last one. So now we try to practice the propose in the national level that we would like to set up our special cultural community like this. We need policy to protect our way of life that harmonies with the nature like this. So we call like a special cultural zone. So we say that this is the social innovation for preservation of the Bogotá culture. So we focus on three things. The first one, protect or preserve cultural and spiritual space. No? That is include like a residential space, cultivation space, ritual space, utilized space, and then conservation space. No? And then the second one, protect cultural economy. For example, we have we be the mahuk, elephant mahuk. So we also think about the cultural tourism, no, in our community. You can see this tree, only one tree, we have more than 100 beehive in this tree. So without, some people say that no money, no honey. But for us, no forest, no honey. So that is me. If we have forest, we still have honey. But if we have honey, we're going to have money. So you see, something like that. So we also think about the cultural ecology system. So that we have right to protect ourselves, to manage ourselves. We have right to stop other people to interrupt us as well. No, this is what we try to do, what we try to think, and then what we try to proceed.
Yes.
Already in the past, but in the current and then in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suvishan. In a few minutes, we can learn a lot from him, starting from the connection through the belief of indigenous people with the nature, the land management, forest management, and also how the traditional cultivation benefit to the community. So this is very interesting, and this is just such a very good work from the current community. Okay, so the next one, can we move to Chuck, please?
I'm so surprised how similarity between my culture and my indigenous wisdom and knowledge about the similar, customary law about the umbilical cord that we use, plant near the tree. I thought it is only practiced in my people, but actually you did similar thing and the same thing in Indonesia. I was like, wow, we are brothers, we are sisters, and we are a big family. I think that's actually cross the border that we have, and a similar, agriculture. That like I didn't plan to do this kind of presentation of slash and burn agriculture, and you did. I mean, I feel like, how do you know that I'm gonna do this? Yeah. So I basically have no else to say, because I basically just, whatever I want to present, I think my brother he already present more than I did. So he got more knowledge than me. But I like to share whatever we have in Malaysia. A similar thing in Thailand. I'm so surprised. I was like, or maybe we are dreaming the same dream. Maybe we breathe the same air, and that's probably transcend, and they actually make us become connected and knowing about our spirit. We have the same spirit. It's the same thing that when we put our umbilical cord to the forest, where the spirit will become a forest. For us indigenous people, tree without spirit means it's dead. If a tree needs a spirit to be alive, it's the same with us. It's a soul. Spirit is a soul. What I'm sharing here, I think similar thing in where our belief system, our culture, customary law, we always ask permission before we plant something, before we cut the forest, before we want to harvest something for the forest, because we believe there are spirit in the forest, which one of this plant, of course, is very, we rely on it to feed us. And it's really give us so much benefit. Even during the pandemic, many indigenous people in Malaysia, they've been cut off from being to have a work, so they don't have money to feed themselves. But the forest near the village where many indigenous people live, given some lifeline for them. I was surprised that many indigenous people we not affected much, because we have the food, which is the forest. Forest is life, give it life. So this is basically the sustainable agriculture that been practiced in Malaysia that I like to share. So So Paddy Hill have been usually, and also the other cultures like tapioca plantations, always part of the indigenous culture. And is, I think you already presented in Malaysia and in your presentation, the similar thing. We only cut the tree in order to grow a lot of vegetable all together. And at the same time, after that we harvest it, we let the forest regrow back to allow other animals to enjoy the forest as us, because their life also matter to us, because all the pollinators, all the fertilizer come from the forest. Indigenous people, we don't buy fertilizer, because fertilizer is come from the forest itself. So same with the pollinator, like bees, so on. So it gives so much benefit to many life, not just us, but also wildlife. So I'm gonna go ahead. So this is one of another unique indigenous tagal system, which is they only harvest or catching the fish in 3 years, where they let the fish to to breed, to get a new time for them to recover. So even though if somebody try to fish, they will be punished, and they will fine with the asking without the fine is it's not based on money. You have to pay them with the animal, like cattle. You have to pay them with the cow or buffalo to pay the fine. So there's no money involved, even though somebody did something wrong. So they did this all the time. So every river they have this tagal system, and based on the time period. So to make sure the next generation will enjoy the fish that they have in the river. So I'm gonna be quick here, and that's one other thing I mentioned earlier about how important it is to ask permission to the nature, because it's important for our indigenous people, because that's our knowledge, this is our indigenous wisdom being carried on. Without the practice, our culture means our connection to the environment, our connection to the sea, to the river, to the forest will be gone. So it's one of the, I feel like it's quite important issue happened in near Selangor now. Many of the indigenous places that used for worship, like this sea worship, for the spirit of the sea, been disturbed by the consumerism, where the port near Selangor has been expanded. That means they're gonna encroach to this indigenous worship area. For example, this is like their indigenous church, indigenous temple, indigenous mosque. The beach is indigenous mosque and culture, church, whatever. So if they destroy, mean they will destroy the culture, they will destroy the religion, they destroy our relation to the environment. So I really want to be, the many agencies out here, you need to listen to the minority voice. You need to have a voice from the community that live near the land, live near the sea, live near the forest, because our voice, although we are a tiny minority, our voice matters. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for the very powerful ending. Yeah. Yeah. So we have learned a lot from Chuck as well. Now let's move quickly to Ibu Ari, Dr. Katrini, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Since I'm the last, so this means that I'm the oldest, yeah, sadly. Okay, so very nice for listening and then learning from Lao PDA, Philippines, Thailand, and then Malaysia, and now from Indonesia. I think to share to each other here is so Indonesia is a huge country, so we have also more than 700 tribes. So I pick one of the tribes that's having the philosophy that can be also shared to you, and also with relation with what we already talked. So I choose the one from Bali, not because I'm the Balinese, but also there are several things relevant to what we experiencing about how to conserve the nature. So first of all, I think I give the islands of Bali to understanding how is the islands also having the geographically meaning for the local people. So like where is the position of the mountains is also the sacred destination or the sacred direction of the Balinese. Because usually, for instance, there are mountains, really the biggest one is in the east part of Bali, and people in the south part of the mountain will feel their north is the mountain. And the people in the northern side of the mountain feel their south is their north. So it's because of how is the feelings of the imagination. All the north are the holy direction for the Balinese. So this is, I introduced the Bali province, my village, that is, we understand from today in the current life, also hopefully in the future, we still hold very strong about our tradition. That is, it's not only the things from the past, but the things that we also facing in our current daily life, and then also for the future and the next generation that still practicing on it. So the philosophy that I would like to bring up here is the name of the tree Hita Karana. So tree is tree, Hita is the happiness, Karana is the cause. So the three cause of happiness that make us keeping happy in harmony. So the tree Hita Karana is mentioned is how is the connection of the triangle of the God, man, and the environment. So how the balance between man and the creator, or the man and the God, and then also the balance between man and the man, and then man and the environment. So that is the practices that we would like also to share. So to understanding, to also revitalize what's the ancestral already giving to us about how the unique things, how is the good things as a tool to our future generation, or also our current life, to cope with the nature, to give a feedback to the nature that already give us a lot. So we also try to learn the young generation. This is maybe the practices, because as the previous speaker already mentioned about all the philosophy, and for my case, I would like also to share about you how the practices that we are doing in our village. So this is the village in Karangasem in the east part of Bali that I and my family set up a foundation that name is Jero Tumbo. How we try to having the children village to learn, to rediscover again how is the spirit, how is the tradition, and then to learn about also the art and culture, and not only all the art performance, but what is the background behind. So for instance, why there are several of the ceremony have to be done in terms of the farming activities in the village. It's because every steps of the plantings, for instance, starting from the seedings selection, the farmings of the watering until the harvest, even after the harvest, there are ceremonies. So what are behind the ceremonies? That's what we learned to the children here. And then also we always regularly invite the children for among the village having also the regular clean up the village, because we would like that having the cleanness is a part of the tradition. So this is also the way that we try to treat all the good things for the environment, because with all the plastic, the tree could not breathe. And then all the things also for the fertilizer also coming from the organic things. So this is also what we learned for the village children, how to regularly clean up the village by themselves. And then now they have like such like a habit that they would not like to throw the rubbish that they got from the snack that they eat, but they put in their pocket, and they will collect it separately with other rubbish, and to be also process it later after that. So this is also the way of why, and it's very important to implement the tradition. So the last slide of mine is the lesson learned. The lesson learned of the tradition that is We, as a Balinese, really strongly hold these three Hitakarana because we believe in these three connections. We have, as a basic things, is how is the take and give is the relation with the man and the environment. So the nature already give us a lot, and then how we can also give back to the nature, and how to also conserve the nature for the sustainability. And the participatory is how to have the young generation, how to have more and more people understand and revitalize all the tradition. And last one is the spirit, as we very strongly hold the spirit as a basic for our daily life. I think that's all from my contribution to share with all of you about the tradition that can be as a basic for the conservation of the environment. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we learned the heart of the belief of the Balinese, the three Hitakarana, and we also learn how you trying to do the greening education by yourself. You're promoting the continuity of traditional practices. That is very impressive. Right now, I would like to, our panelists is now interviewing themselves. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so right now I would like to hear that from what we have learned from you, we hear about the respect to the nature, the worshipping, the take and give back, and the value of, is for your case, you give the value of the ancestral wisdom. You see the value of how the traditional technique of natural dyeing with your textile. That is very impressive. And now I would like to hear that there is anything that prevents you to continue the traditional practices or implement the ancestral wisdom that you presented on this stage today.
The youngest or the... Okay. You are the youngest. Okay, so that is mean I be the youngest. Okay, so I think for us, when I should respond with your question about what is prevent us to continue our ancestor knowledge or wisdom. No? For us, if we still have capacity or right to access our ancestor, how to say it? Our ancestor land, something like our natural resource, we will able to continue this thing. But if we have limited to access our ancestor land or our ancestor cultural heritage authority, we also have limited or risk to continue our ancestor wisdom as well. So for us, right to access to the natural resource is the condition to continue our ancestor wisdom in our way of life.
Thank you. Very good question. Very good answer, and very important. Yeah.
So who will the young the younger?
The youngest? You can have first.
I would really agree with what he said, that the continuity of the practices of ancient wisdom, of intangible cultural heritage, really rely on the natural resources, and how the natural environment and the people actually enable how cultural communities are able to practice their cultural traditions, their ancient wisdom, these practices. And when these natural resources actually disappear, as what he said, then there will be challenges and limitations with regard to how those practices are actually are done. Perhaps in the cases of what I've presented, there are external factors as well. So for example, natural disasters. So when natural disasters actually happen, there are certain practices that cannot be done, considering that some communities are actually displaced from their original homelands. But then just because they are transferred to another area, they're able to recreate these practices in their own ways. So in a way, there is still transmission. And also considering that cultural heritage is evolving and it's dynamic. So therefore, it really relies upon the people themselves, the cultural bearers themselves, on how they will be able to continue these practices despite the challenges and despite the internal and external factors as well. Because sometimes the challenges can also be internal.
Yeah.
Internal. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Liza. Dr. Katrini, do you find
Okay,
any
yeah.
challenges?
Thank you. Where I'm thinking of 2 points. So first of all is I think I would like to quote one of a very good statement from Roland Silva, yeah, from Sri Lanka. This one mentioned about it's not only law but love to conserve our heritage. So it means that to continue all of this tradition, all the ancestral already giving us, is first is how the people love it. And then how to make people love it is first is to know it first, to know that they have such a rich thing that they already receive as a given from the ancestor, and they don't have to be bought it anymore, but it's already given by their previous parent and ancestor to them. And then secondly, this is also about we have to be realized that we are now living in the economic things. That is, it's not only we talk about culture after we have to eat, after we already welfare. But this is also something that now we from the cultural heritage activists would like to encourage. Is culture is not only the treasure, but culture is a basic need that also is not only a cost center, but from the culture, the heritage, the tradition, we can also having the economic benefit, but not to exploit the culture, but how to have it as a resource, as a creativity, as all the nurture of all the things that we can learn from about. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Katrini. So I have the next questions about the education. Do you believe there is a need for educational programs that focus on the cultural wisdom and indigenous knowledge and its role in addressing the climate change? If so, what would this program ideally include?
I think it's yes. We need this cultural wisdom being part of our education system, because we are very minorities, and our wisdom sometimes sound very funny, sound very strange, but that will another way to get our young children to be interested on our cultural wisdom, because nowadays in Malaysia, for example, we don't have anything material that really talk about indigenous people, and I feel like there's so many excuses that they said because we small minority. If we start putting the material about the indigenous people in the history book or education book, other culture will do the same. I say, why not? Why not bring other cultures together also? Because the wisdom is not just held by our indigenous culture, but other community actually have their cultural wisdom as well in terms of connection to the forest, connection to the nature, because those knowledge we need to preserve, we need to practice also, because if you don't have this in the education system, this knowledge will be disappear, this knowledge will be gone, because of course many indigenous people using the oral history, oral practice to what's called to transfer the knowledge, but we're dealing with a digital world. We're dealing with a written history. So we need to put that into practice. Make sure many children in the school not just learning about technology, but also learning about the cultural wisdom, because culture will give them inspire from their heart to make a change.
From my perspective, education is something that now we have to talking back that we have provided enough educations about the cultural heritage enough yes in our society or in our community. Education start from what the primary school children have to know, what is high school have to know, until above to the on the research level. What should we do about this one? And talk about the education, it should be the action as well. Example, on the children level, they got education, it means they have awareness. In the young generations, it means we are implementations. And to the senior people want to be monitoring. So it will be the whole process to be complete the educations about the culture and heritage. And this one will be to the economics, go to the society and communities and environment onward.
Thank you, Thep Duangjan. I have one last question. We might have heard about that today, this morning, we have the first ever cultural ministerial meeting in this COP, okay? And we also heard about the establishment of the group of friends on cultural-based climate action. So I would like to hear how would you expect your country to move forward in line with this new initiation?
So then if I already answer, I can go home, yeah? Dinner is waiting. Yeah, well, from my side, I think it's like, for us, it's more about like a recognition. I think that's the right word. It's like what we are already doing, and it's starting from our ancestors that they already did everything to conserve the nature through the tradition, through their way of life in their daily practice. It's already there. But now people try to find solutions everywhere, but then back again to revitalize. That is the thing already there. So now it's like a recognition. So this is really a good encouragement for each of our country, especially the one in Asia, because yeah, we can claim this COP28 is the Asian COP, yeah? Like the previous one is the African COP, so now is this the Asian COP, where we all the family in Asia is really respecting all the tradition in the Eastern countries. That is, we having a very strong root in tradition that's already there to conserve the nature. So the recognition and then revitalization. I think that's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, for me, even though I know that the cultural minister of Thailand not involved with the meeting, but I still hope, I still have expect that my country, my government will respond to the climate action, no? Because I think when we talk about the climate change, we cannot avoid the political issue. We cannot avoid about the how to say it, the power of relationship between how to say it, who have more rights and who have low rights, because this is cause of the unequal in the society, especially in indigenous people, community or society. So for me, it's quite challenged that how the government or the cultural ministry we are aware about the rights, cultural rights of the people. I'm doesn't mean only in indigenous people, but I think everyone, every culture. So cultural rights quite important. So because if we have unequal rights, so we cannot talk about the climate change because we know that the cause of the climate change is it's not only from like the naturally, but it's from the human being. So if we have some policy or we have some act that provide or aware about the rights of the people, the rights of culture, I think this is what we hope and what we expect that we would like to see is happen in my country as well.
Thank you. I think that is the call for action on behalf of everyone here. And lastly, I would like to introduce you this book. This is just a case study of just 5 case studies how the ancestral wisdom can mitigate the climate change. And in this book, there are more case studies to learn, and you can just scan this code and you can get the whole book to read. This is produced by the Science Society and the Royal Patronage and the Southeast Asian Cultural Heritage Alliance. So today I would like to thank all the panelists, and I would like to thank the Thailand Pavilion, also our co-chair Climate Heritage Network, Petra National Trust, our partner, Julie's Bicycle, Indonesia Pavilion, International National Trust Organization, UNESCO Greening Education Hub, and our sponsor, the Education and Public Welfare Foundation, Rotary Club Bang Rak, Thailand, individual donors from crowdfunding, and including the Science Society Council member and CISHA director. Thank you very much, everyone that can make our appearance in the COP28 happen. Thank you so much. Thank you, the audience as well.
Okay, thank you.